Hi guys, it's Kelly from Cards by Christine here with you for our Honey Pots and Happy Thoughts class. This class features 4 a little bit more zhuzhed up cards than the previous Pooh Bear class that I had. That was our 15 Stamp Stack cards. I just finished up most of that. I think that is at this point in the rear view mirror. That was my first 100 plus participant kitted class, so that was exciting. And I literally just handed the cards over to Chris, her pile of cards. So I think that one's all done. There might be 1 or 2 left, but I think I'm done with the cutting and kitting and all that stuff. So it was fun to sit down and do things a little more complicated with the silly old bear stuff. And that's what this class became. This class featured a quarter pack of DSP, as well as a ribbon and an embellishment with the 4 zhuzhed up cards. So these cards all feature some sort of fun fold-esque or something a little more zhuzhed up, which was so much fun. I remember it was over a month ago. I spent some time one night after bedtime. I stayed up way too late, researching ideas and coming up with layouts and stuff like that, and bringing them up to Chris in a partially done manner so that she could help me push them to the finish line. And they turned out super great, which I am super excited about. And look, there are so many people on already, which is super great. So hello to Nancy Mole and Mary Carls. We also have Susan Bellamy and Mary Lemke, Donna Grutschke. We also have Becky. And, oh my, Nancy, you are correct. Hunny is hanging out just in time for the Honey Pots class. Couldn't have scripted it better. So, we have, let's see if I can bring the cards in frame here. Ooh, okay, so my camera's a little off-centered and crooked. Let's get that. Okay. So now, oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So we go until, okay. Just need to figure out how far I have to work with. I hate when I pull something close to my body so that I can see it better, and then I look up and I see that it's not anything that you guys can see. So I'm trying to ground myself on how much real estate I have. Okay, so here are the 4 cards, and in this class I got to feature some things that I didn't in the previous class. I don't think I used this piece of DSP at all. And I love this little tree. Whoa! That snuck up on me. Sorry, I have a cat fur. Hunny is participating in more way than one. Okay. So, this awesome tree DSP on the side, and then we got little Pooh Bear peeking out on the side. My goodness. I must have, okay, well, I'm not allergic to cats, but I must have zhuzhed up some dander or some dust that is bothering me here. Thank you. Okay, so what we're doing today, these are the 4 cards that you have seen. These are the 4 cards that I took photographs of and all of that good stuff. But when you get a package here, so I just grabbed one of the participants' packages. That was a thank you. Bless you, bless you. Now when my dad sneezes, he typically sneezes anywhere from 3 to 30 times, and I seem to have inherited that gene from him. So I'm hopeful that 2 does it for me. And we both have obnoxious sneezes that are they can be so loud and so overwhelming. Okay, so this is what your kit will look like. You have a roll of Golden Glow and you have a pack of these gorgeous in color dots. These are the 2026 to 2028 colors. So these are the colors that were just released not that long ago. I need to text Chris quick. Oh, where am I? Okay. Then you'll also get a quarter pack of DSP. Now, the paper is amazing. And good morning, Sarah. Thank you so much for joining. I did not want to cut through things. So my mother, bless her heart and soul, went ahead and, it's not really fussy cutting, but like rough cut around the edges into approximately even quarters. Like obviously you can tell that this piece is smaller, but then we went with a bigger of that piece. Just so that we wouldn't take the paper and cut it and cut all of these characters in half or down the middle and make them useless. Did the same with this pattern. And some of these are needed. Some of them are not. They're just going to be extras. But like in this instance, we're using that character and that character wasn't on each quarter. So to cut through it would have been actually detrimental to the class that I wouldn't have been able to use it. So bless Mom's heart for agreeing to cut so many sheets of DSP. But then again, yes, so here we did the same thing. And in this class, I don't know that any of these, well, we did use the picnic scene. Okay. Oh, and then of course on the back, so we've got the clouds, we've got the pink plaid. Okay, now this paper we cut normally because there really wasn't anything to cut around per se, but you will have obviously two different sides. So for instance, if you were looking to have Pooh Bear's little butt hanging out on your cut of paper, you could spot that on your paper and cut accordingly if it matters. Now I will say this, I thought he was going to show more than he did. I thought I had him more down here. Actually, I didn't think I was going to use such a big label for the back. And by the time I got it all layered up, he's almost covered up. But at least he is, in fact, there. Okay, and then the other side gets used on this inside panel. So if you want, you can utilize this paper. Hello, Diane. Strategically as well, but that was just a normal cut. Okay, then we get to these pieces. Now, this page, so it's got these little hydrangea hue characters running across the back. This sheet had, let's see here, it had 3 scenes across the top, and then it had 2 or 3 skinny scenes in the middle, and then 2 horizontal scenes on the bottom. So we had all sorts of different stuff going on, and again, it was impossible to cut it perfectly so that everyone could get the same things or an even amount of things, but I do think there was 1, 2, 3. I think there were 8 scenes total. So each of you got 4 scenes, but they may not have all been the same, if that makes sense. So you will notice that the cards that are my sample cards and the cards that I make today are going to be slightly different. They may have different backgrounds or different scenes, but they all will work cohesively so that you can make the cards. So, for instance, this card, this person did not get that scene. However, we're going to use this scene, or I don't even know which scene I have, but you're going to use the vertical scene that you got to make this card, okay? And that's why I'm making a different one on the live than I did for the sample card, so that you can see both. Okay, so you got a quarter of a pack of this piece, which is basically you got a half a sheet of this piece. And then the same instance here with these guys. Okay. So again, if I would have just cut it, you would have lost a whole bunch of stuff. So let's see here. On this particular card, okay, so this card, this person would have this one that I did use to design for this particular card. I don't remember what the other one is, but we'll see when we get everything unboxed. But if you didn't receive this particular scene, there were 2 other options. Actually, I'm pretty sure one of the other options has Pooh Bear opening a package, which I thought was super cute to do on the card, because a card is basically a nice little gift for someone. So that is that pattern. And then last but certainly not least, you got this pattern. This one, we did not cut around the particular characters because this piece is getting entirely consumed on the card. So you'll notice that it is scored. It is scored at 1, 4, 7, and 11 inches. And you'll see that in the PDF. I did send the PDF out last night. If you did not get it, please check your spam and or reach out. We'll get it to you. We'll get it figured out. But now that I'm sending things more regularly, people are having less issues. But at first, or the first time you receive something from me, it might end up in the spam, or it might end up not where it belongs. Hello, Cindy. Thank you so much for joining. And Diana, I don't remember if I called you out or not, but I appreciate you being here as well. So this is already scored everywhere it needs to be, and then it was simply just bent in half to fit in the package. We will fold this all the appropriate ways when we get to the card, but for the time being, oh my gosh, there is cat fur everywhere. For the time being, it's just folded so that it fit in the piece. So that is the walkthrough of your quarter pack of DSP. And Sarah, I would take that praise, except for I don't deserve it. So I'm going to pass that right on to my mom, who did all of the extra work in cutting of the DSP. For my selfish reasons and for your selfish reasons, I could not stand the thought of cutting all. It is so hard. Okay. It is so hard for me to use this DSP. Like, I love all these character pieces. And it's so nice to have cloud paper, but do you know how hard it is for me to cut that? It is like nearly impossible. So yes, I do use it, but man. So yes, and I know my mom is watching along, so I wanted to make sure to pass that praise on to her, because I appreciate all the extra work that she has done in not only this class, but all of my classes. She stays busy. She is retired, but I feel like she feels like she's not retired. Okay, so I'm going to give myself just a little bit more workspace. Okay, sorry, I promise I will not move that anymore. Okay. So I think that is the walkthrough that we needed of all of that stuff. Let me put this kit back together so that I don't lose any of the pieces. Last but certainly not least, you have the card kits. I'm not going to open them because I don't want to misplace any of the pieces. But there we go. But we'll walk through. Mine don't look exactly like yours. I have mine in this case over here. But basically, you have all of the pieces together for the particular card kit that you need, minus the DSP, which we will walk and talk through, minus the ribbon, which you will cut off of your roll. Now, on the green card, to me, it was more important to have ribbon that complemented the card than to use the ribbon that I sent with you. So I did include a small cut of the Mossy Meadow and gold ribbon as well. So that will be in your card kit, but all of the rest of the ribbon will get cut off the roll as you're making the cards. Yay, love you, Mom. Thanks for all your help. See, we all appreciate you. Okay. Now, I'm going to move my, I got to get situated. Every time I think that I got it, I'm never fully situated. Okay, so, look at this gorgeous pouch. So, I thought this was a pencil pouch. I mean, and it is, quote unquote, a pencil pouch, but Chris has this stocked full of all of her goodies. So I'm going to repackage my caddy here. But she took all of these things with her when she went to Riverton for the demonstrator event. And I was like, oh, that is so smart. Okay, so we got to take a pick tool. It's like everything fit in there. That's amazing. Let's see here. These two things share. We have a pen holder. Look at that. That's amazing. This little pouch is so cool. Okay, move that off to the side. I cannot believe all of those things fit in there. That was amazing. Sarah loves the sweet so much. Okay, so if Chris pops her head back up here at some point in time, which I think she will, I need a sanding block, which I think she has one in here somewhere. I just need to ask her where it is. But I'm also going to ask her to bring up my sampler because I just finished designing the sampler, well, it was last week. And it turned out so good. I cannot wait to make that and to share that with you because I have never designed a sampler before from start to finish. I did help Chris with the Waterside Retreat one for the Stampin' Fun in the Sun. So I was a part of it, but I definitely did not lead at all. I was like, this side of the paper, or that side of the paper, or this embellishment, or that. So like, it was a challenge, but I'm so glad that I did it because I feel like a lot of these things, if it wasn't Pooh, I wouldn't have pushed myself to do it. Or push myself to try, and it's been so much fun. Like, because I love Pooh so much, it has made the process so enjoyable. And to see everyone's excitement and support rallied around me and earning the trip and the sweet, it's really humbling, and I appreciate it so much. So, yay! Yes, Sarah had to switch to her hotspot because we can't miss this class. It's too good. Granted, of course, the replay is available. But okay, so we're going to start with this first card, and I think I have my cards in order, unless I guess it depends what way I open my box. Okay, so I will say this. I need to cut a piece I need to cut a card base so that you can see how I did this. Your piece is not cut. We're going to do that together. It is scored and folded so that it could go into your envelope, but we will cut it together. Now, you also have some pieces of DSP that you need to acquire. So basically, in your vanilla envelope, you will have a card base that's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Again, it is not cut. We'll talk about that in a minute. We will work together to get it to look like that. You will also receive, and now I'll just show it to you, a white, vanilla piece that in the end is going to be where you write your sentiment. Okay, so that's going to be that piece. You will receive a cut and embossed giant golden glow label. You will receive a sentiment strip. And then you will also receive the layered labels that go on there. So that's an espresso and a vanilla. Okay? So let's grab a piece of early espresso so that we can cut that together. Okay, so Donna, I hear ya. The shipping on the frame is more than the frame. So we're going to take a quick second to talk about the sampler. It is an 11 by 14 sampler, and you can put it in any type of 11 by 14 frame. 11 by 14 is a standard size for photography. I used to work at a professional photographer, and 11 by 14 is a standard size. So you have options. First of all, you probably could find something on Amazon. I have always done frames through Michaels, and I really like Michaels' quality and colors. So that's why I went with Michaels. But right now, at least when I ordered mine, they were 65% off, so they're super cheap. But yes, free shipping on $49 means that you would either need to order 8 frames, or actually 7 frames, 7 times 7 is 49, or add some other things from Michaels. Now, I do believe, don't quote me on this, you can return things. So like if you order some things and then you don't want it, you could return them to the store and then have done it that way. Some stores have the shadow boxes in stock, like if you have a Michaels store by you, some do not. Otherwise, what I would say is peruse Amazon, because obviously Amazon has free shipping on most things, not all things. Or go ahead, if you do have a Michaels, or not a Joann anymore, a Michaels or a Hobby Lobby or something like that, it would probably be worth the stop to go in and see if they have any shadow box options at that size. 11 by 14 is the most important part of it. It has to be an 11 by 14 or it won't particularly fit. But then they usually do have either frame options. You could always do it in a frame. Yes, you won't get the dimensional feel, or shadow box options, which of course have the dimension and the height to it. So yes, that is, I don't want to say a downside, but that is something to take into consideration. Okay, so while we're at it, getting ready for this particular card, you will need to cut 3 strips of paper. Oh my goodness, excuse me. 5 strips of paper. Ask and you shall receive. I forgot about the pink ones. So the DSP, this is, if I'm going to flip one, I don't need to flip them all. This is the same piece of DSP. We just used strips on the side that are flipped one way and strips in the middle that are flipped the other way. Now, I'm so sad because I have a poo butt here, and I strongly considered cutting this strip off the side here and pulling him to the side, but then I remembered even if I did that, the labels would cover it. So I let him be. I let him be. I'm going to be sad when I glue him down and I don't get to see his cute little butt hanging out anymore. But basically, you are going to cut this size strip, which is going to be 1 inch wide by 5 3/8 inch tall. You're going to be cutting 2 of them out of the tree paper and 2 of them out of the pink plaid. Okay? If you didn't catch it, the pink plaid goes on the inside, and then the trees go on the outside. Okay, so that brings these off. Then this particular piece is still 5 3/8 tall, but it's 1 7/8 inch wide. Okay, so we've got 5 3/8 for the height of all of these, and then we have 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 7/8 of an inch. And then the last thing that you need, once I get these pieces off to the side, is a label. So before I had showed you all of the variety of different pieces that you got. You can choose any scene that you would like. However, I did choose a horizontal scene. That being said, you absolutely could take and use a vertical scene. It just would mat differently. And that's totally fine. So if you don't like the horizontal scene that you got, and by that I actually should specify, this was designed, okay, so I keep using Audrina's kit. This was designed not to use this like ticketed, the piece with the ticketed corners. That's a little smaller. We are using one of these shapes with kind of like the knotties on the corner, okay? This is gonna be for a future card, so don't use that. Use one of these oval type pieces. Again, I used a horizontal scene, but if you want, you are more than welcome to use a vertical scene. There's a lot of autonomy with this card class. Okay, then we've got Pooh and Piglet from the sheet of Cloud DSP. So those are the pieces that we are working with. Now, you don't need to do this, but I need to get to the same point that you are. So 4 1/4. So your piece of early espresso is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. We don't do these card bases that often, but it works out particularly well for this piece. You may have heard this from me before, but when you get a card and you pull it out of, when you get a card kit and you pull the card base out of the envelope, you still want to make sure that you burnish your card base, because when we're kitting, we fold the card over, but we don't necessarily crease it. It's just enough to fold it and put it in the envelope. Hi Debbie, thank you so much for joining. Glad you snuck on, and we'll catch the class later. So you'll definitely still want to burnish it. And for this particular card, you're going to open it up. We are going to make cuts at 1 1/8 of an inch in up to the score line. Okay, so we don't want to cut past the score line, just 1 1/8 up to the score line. So I'm going to align it with 1 1/8, and then I'm going to take my cutting blade and bring it up. If you didn't know, there are marks on the side of your blade. So the marks going north and south tell you where the blade is situated in this plastic housing. So you know that you're cutting right down the middle. And then the east and west lines tell you where the center point of the blade is, allowing you to know how far you've gone. So you can see the score line off the left-hand side here. And when that lines up with this crease on the plastic housing, you know you've gone high enough. Okay, so that's perfect. Now I'm going to rotate. Go back to that 1 1/8 inch mark. This time I'm cutting from the top down. So we'll go all the way down to that score and then call it a break. Now you've got this crazy thing that we will work with. Okay, so that's how you cut the card base. So for assembly, I'm going to move this off to the side now. I am going to start by adhering down my pieces of DSP. So first and foremost, I'm going to work with the tree paper. The tree paper is absolutely directional. You do not want your trees to be growing down, which I can tell here that I had that piece flipped upside down. When the strips are so skinny, it can be hard to tell, but if you cannot tell, flip it over because the map side is a little easier to read. And then last but certainly not least, we have the map piece for the inside section. We have a live going on live while I'm live.
Well, we technically can't
It's amazing.
Lives going at the same time because there's no way to do that on the channel. So I'm recording this on my camera.
Got it.
And then I'm going to upload it. So hey, it's Christine. I'm coming to you live from the mini craft room closet area up here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And what I wanted to use this is my hallway. So we're going to flip it around. And what I wanted to show you guys is the craft room. Look at, there's Kelly. She's live actually right now doing the happy honey pots and happy thoughts.
Yay!
Yay! But what I wanted to show you what we have staged for the Paper Palooza. Oh my goodness, you guys. So this is my countertop that I got put in when we did the remodel.
So you got a sneak peek of what's going on behind me.
Is a phenomenal. I don't know what I did before I had this countertop. It was piles everywhere. But these are the cards that we designed for the Paper Palooza. Diane and I worked on them last week for 2.5 days. And the reason I'm showing this is because registration's almost full, and I'm trying to make sure that we get full before we print up all the name tags. And so we
okay,
have a lot
this
of
is the
people,
moment at which we say goodbye to the poo butt,
so
and we cry a little bit.
Like with only 3 left, but then all of a sudden I went through and now we have 10 left. So that's one card. And this is how we stage things. And so we're planning for 92.
Bye-bye, poo butt.
And so you can see I've got, last night I worked on cutting all the bases and the mats and the inside mats. And all my helpers have started to work on the little die cut pieces. Look at that. We're cutting 600 some of those little ball things for you. Go Karen forward. Yay to her. And then my mom has cut all of these ribbons already.
So once we have...
Kelly too much.
Oh, you're okay.
Okay.
We're gluing.
We're gluing. And so there's... So
you can also flip open.
Designer papers, all the specialty papers are represented
and glue the pinks on.
And we featured a lot of different stamp sets, but primarily sentiments from
I see that I cut these
I have the
wrong.
most amazing helpers that do die cutting, and they don't mind helping me, and so we're able to do lots of little die cuts, so all you have to do is a sentiment on there. So we represent Fern and Flora, or Moonlit Flora. We've got the Valley and Bloom, the Delicate Whispers. This is the artisan specialty, or the artisan paper. The Silly Old Bear got a shout out. We've got Boutique Blossoms. We've got Everyday Essentials, and then the Velvet Meadow. We have a wonderful match, and you don't even need to have the soccer set. You just need a sentiment that can go in the middle. That sentiment did come from that set, but it doesn't need to. And then Waterside Retreat. We've got the Beautiful Ordinary Life, Had to Pull Out the Honeycombs. And then Paradise by the Dashboard Light, Garden Poetry. And then this one is the sunsets that are on the coast. We have paper medley maybe.
Okay,
The weird
so now that we have
and just because it's random.
them glued down.
I'm good with so much random. I like organized stuff. This is Homemade Sweetness. And then we have the In Color, and we chose the Cantaloupes.
Okay, now we are going to stamp.
Neutrals with black.
So we have It Never Hurts to Keep Looking Up. That comes from the incredible Sweet Words and Labels stamp set. And then on the inside, I just stamped some honey pots because there's not a ton of room to write. So I want to make sure that we have room, as much room as we can. So
like we added a long piece of ribbon, which is easier for mom to cut, so that you are just going to take a little bit on the ribbon to do each of the little guys on here. So yeah, so we're strategic, and with all of these cards use diamonds, and so we've got all the diamonds staged.
So you have a 5/8 by 2 3/4 inch piece.
We have the ink colors. The ink color dots got used on these 5. So like the first card will have
You'll want to align it to the left because we'll do a banner end on the right.
Paper in a way so that each card kit that you get is going to have its DSP behind it, and then the exact papers that we use are going to be the first papers, and then the rest of the papers, and then you'll have your next envelope with your card kit, and then you'll have the Lily of the Valley paper with the Luxe paper and the designer paper right on the front, so that it's going to be super duper organized. So again, we're going to do one, so get registered. I'll put a link in the comments here how to get registered.
So guys,
okay, here's
register for Palooza if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, good.
I can't walk you to the counter to show you, but I mean, they're great.
Yeah, but this is our setup in here. Always in like little bits of tight quarters here. But yeah, so Kelly's working on the Honey Pots and Happy Thoughts class right now. And you have, I think, 7 left or 8, maybe. Well, technically, you had none left. Okay, so she made 48, and then I'm like,
I made 40.
40, and
We've
then
almost
16.
doubled that at this point.
So I think she started at 40, and then I'm like, can you do more? So she did 16, and then can you do more? And then she did 8, and then can you do more? She is doing the final batch of 8 to give us, I think, 72 plus the one kit that we make up is 73. So, but the cards are super cool. You get the roll of Golden Glow ribbon and the in color dots, 4 card kits, and a quarter pack of designer paper. And what happens with the last 8 though, the last 8, we won't be able to ship them until August. So I'm trying to like
run out of supplies.
Yeah, we've run out of supplies.
More than many times we've run out of ribbon and embellishments, and right now they're not orderable. So you're gonna have to just pack your patience.
Yeah. So the last 8 will have to wait till August, unless we can beg, borrow, and steal and find them from people that are willing to share them, so that we can get them in the mail. So, anyways, this is crazy. We're doing live kind of, but I'm gonna end off, and hopefully you guys, I'll have the link in the link in the description for registering. Lots of sunshine, love, and big hugs. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Now, before you run too far,
okay.
Do you have a sanding block up here?
Yes, I do, right here.
At your convenience, could you bring up the sampler?
I know, I was just thinking that.
And I have the frames in my back end, so I'm gonna.
Oh. Okay.
I'm gonna not during the live, but I'm gonna take them out and see how it looks in the frame.
Okay.
Yay! I'm so excited they got delivered, and I saw the box sitting outside as I was backing out to come this morning. I was like, okay, I gotta stop and go grab those frames.
The other thing people could consider is an espresso frame that's 11 by 14 too.
Yep,
they
and
think that would pop better in their room.
They were talking about how expensive it is to ship, so we talked about some other options on that too. So
yeah, so like I would be willing to. Because they're only $7.
Right. Well, at least while they're on sale.
If somebody has a different package going out, it would help, like, to have it all in a small box.
And I didn't know if this was a viable option or not, but I said it might be worth looking on Amazon because Amazon's free shipping.
Free
so there's options out there, and honestly, it could probably stand on an easel. Like if you were really opposed to getting a frame, you probably could find a way to make it work. But
it would probably be more protected.
Oh, it would definitely be more protected in a frame, for sure. But Okay, so then last but certainly not least, we're just going to stamp the honey pots and the beautiful buzzing bees off of the edge there. Okay, I got cat fur all over, guys. Where did I put the chamois? You know, I didn't do roll call. I have it up on my phone. So when I get a break somewhere along the way here, I will do that. And I also wanted to mention, I just had a fleeting thought. Oh my gosh, you guys are watching me, not the card. Ha! That's funny. Was anybody going to tell me? Just kidding. Okay, perfect. Look at those cutesy little bees just hovering around the honey. Okay. So that takes care of that. I'm going to keep the stamps all together. We will need more of them as we go through the class. Oh no, the frames are now $17 or $18. Okay, so they run sales. Every week probably is an update to their sales. So if you want, you could probably patiently wait. I don't know if they will ever go 65% again. I saw that and I was like, wow, that is quite the deal. I wondered about that. Sarah, I was thinking you could probably create a chipboard back as well. The problem with the sampler is it's 11 by 14, so it's not a bad thing, but 12-inch is the maximum size of a lot of our pieces, so it does a little bit run into issues in that regard. So yeah, you could piece something together or something like that, but yes. Okay, so now we have all of those pieces down. Now we can start creating the front. Okay, so there is direction to this piece because it is embossed. So you just want to make sure that you don't have your trees upside down. And there is a front and back as well. It doesn't necessarily matter. I consider the back side the side where like the river would be popping up, and I consider the front side the side where the trees are popping up. And I want the side with the trees popping up. Now, because of how this functions, we need to be very cautious to not include any adhesive on the middle section. Absolutely, maybe piece it together. Or yes, you could just put it in the center and then there'd be a strip hanging out on each side. But yes, that chipboard that comes with the specialty paper is so handy. I use it for a lot of things, and this definitely could be one of them as well. Okay, so when I did this, I went ahead and used tear-in tape. You could use anything that you prefer. I typically like using liquid glue, but in this instance, I wanted to make sure I had my tear-in tape exactly where I wanted it. So that's why I did this. So I'm going to just flip that over. I'm going to lightly place that down. Just inside these little diamonds. Then I'm going to flip this over and place it where I intend to place it. Lift it up. Okay, so that is why I did it lightly, because I wondered if I got too far out. Now, did I do it lightly enough? No, I didn't. Oh, I did. Okay, just got it good and stuck there. So I wanted to be a little closer to the diamonds. It looks like if I'm butted up to the diamonds, oh yeah, this one's really bad. It's very crooked too. Oh my, okay, there. Well, we done did it on this one. If you butt it up to the diamond, you should be good. Then you can peel the backing off. And if you have any hanging off, that can just get folded back. All right, what I like to do here, because these flaps are a long cut, they're very flexible. So we want to make sure that everything is exactly where we want it to be. It's not that there's a gap or something. I want to hold my pieces together. So I'm going to make sure that they all close exactly where I want them to. Then, now I have a Kelly hair. I can't complain about the cats all the time. Okay, so then I'm going to lay down my piece. Make sure we get it nice and straight. Make sure we get it exactly where we want it. I'll lightly tack it. Open it up. We're good on the adhesive, so now I'm going to push it down. Now we're going to start to get some stability to our card because all of the pieces are held together. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my scene. This is going to get adhered with dimensionals. The one thing that didn't fit in our little pencil pouch. All right, now go ahead and put as many dimensionals and wherever you want, because at this point, none of this gets seen. Now that we have that big piece there, okay. Take the backs off. And then this just went centered. Perfect. It never hurts to keep looking up. Go ahead and trim that down. Run some tear and tape on the back. And then we have a loop tail with our golden glow ribbon. This beautiful golden glow color, which is the perfect color for our Winnie friend. Okay. So I like to start under the keep. We're going to do small little loops. You're probably going to end up only using about 3 or 4 inches. But you have the whole roll, so you don't need to worry about, I wouldn't cut a piece off. I would just make it look how you want it and then trim it right off the roll. Bring in your ribbon scissor. Nice mitered edge. And then we'll put dimensionals behind this as well. But at this point, there's not a ton of space. We've got a lot of things going on some very precious real estate. It never hurts to keep looking up. Now at this point, we're going to be putting this down here, and this end is going to be hanging off. So I'm going to go in and add an additional dimensional behind it, butting it up to the existing dimensional and putting it on the card base. Okay, so that should take care of that. Then we have our embellishments. So you got a whole pack of the in-color dots. I had used the Golden Glow, but in this one, for instance, we have some hydrangea hue in there. So if you want to go ahead, you can use whatever you would like. I might just go ahead and use hydrangea hue here. Put it on top maybe, or over there. I'm really bad at randomly placing embellishments. It's very stressful for me. Oh my, there's some hiding up there. I'm gonna move this guy. Get rid of that sheet. Look at them hiding up there. Crazy. Oh, I like that blue there. Okay, but we are not done. We open the card, and now we're going to piece this together. So I don't necessarily want anything extra dimensional here because this is technically the inside of the card. So I'm going to use flat adhesive, so in my case, liquid glue, to stick down our characters. Then I'm going to use flat adhesive again to stick it on the mat. And flat adhesive one more time to center it on that strip. It doesn't necessarily matter where you put it. If you wanted to put another sentiment on here, you could. You just want it to be less than that, so probably less than ½ an inch from the top and bottom so that it is covertly hidden. Also, the far left and right ends do stick out, so you want to be aware of that when you're using your adhesive. I just placed my guy perfectly centered, or as perfectly centered as I could. Okay, then I came back and added some more of our pretty pretties. So I've got a big Golden Glow, a small Barely Blush, and then I think I did a small, but I'm going to do a big one. Look at that! Super cute! Okay, pull these off to the side. So that takes care of card number 1. I love it. I love, 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 love it. So here are your 2 different options, and of course the options are endless depending on what scenes you get and what scenes you want to do. I love this tree paper. It really is variable. Like, it's very light over here. Like on this chunk of it, it's got a big bushy tree top. So you can be strategic about how you do it, or you can just get what you get and it looks good no matter what. Okay, card number 2. This one's a little different because it's got the whole greeny scene to it, and we've got some sanding and two-tone. So I'm going to put the Golden Glow ribbon away because that is not going to be necessary, at least for this card. And we'll talk about our pieces. So, in my kit to you, so this is going to be what's in your vanilla envelope, you will receive a card base. This card base is a traditional card base, except for it is trimmed down just a hair. You will also receive a piece of two-tone embossed cardstock. So just like we talked the last time, I consider the trees being up, the forward facing, the side that I want to use. There is another side, which is the light version. So intentionally put the dark side as the up side for this card. So you'll see what that looks like. It does make a difference when you're sanding as well. So you can choose to do it the other way, but I personally didn't like that color variety, and you would have a completely opposite look for your sanding. You also will receive an inside mat and a secondary mat for the inside. Of course, these are smaller than normal because of the unique cut here. And then a myriad of pieces. Okay, so don't sneeze because it'll make a mess. But you should have 3 mossy meadow leaves, 3 old olive leaves, 2 pecan pie nuts, and then 2 early espresso nut toppers. Okay, and before we get too carried away, I'm going to go ahead and glue these together because these pieces are small and they have a tendency of losing themselves. So to put the nut tops on, I'm just gonna do 2 or 3 small little dots of liquid glue. It does not take a lot, and you'd be surprised how much glue just oozes out if you put too much on. So there are 2 different sizes, so you want to put the big nut cap on the big nut and the small nut cap on the small nut. The other cards, I can't remember. I feel like I didn't use the acorn in the Stamp-a-Stack cards. I could be wrong. See, because I'm already on the next thing. I've got Mom cutting nuts and stuff like that for the sampler. So I'm like, I don't remember when I did and didn't. But I loved, yes, die cutting them probably was not super fun. Love you, Mom. But I love working with the nuts for the designing. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, so those are the pieces that came from me. You will also need to add, oh, I will say, you also received a 3 or 4 inch piece of Mossy Meadow. Okay, so this card we used the additional piece of ribbon. You will also need to cut a mat of DSP. That is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that'll go on here. And that's why we've got such small pieces here for the inside, because I wanted to make sure that you could see. Now, if you are ultra conservative with paper and have paper of your own, you could very easily have just cut a strip of this, okay? So it would have probably been about 1 inch, and then done a more traditional size vanilla mat over here. If you don't want that peeking out, you could conserve paper in that way, okay? Because I agree, this is quote unquote wasteful to use all, but just thought I'd point that out. Some people, sometimes myself included, think like that and want to not use so much paper there. Yay, Sarah's kit comes today. That's amazing. That's so much fun. And like I said, yes, we have the little Pooh Bear package for the front of this card here. All right, so you'll die cut this. You'll cut that piece of DSP. You'll commingle them with the pieces that came from me, and then we are ready to start making some cards. Okay, so The only stamping, I'm going to just do this and get this out of the way for now. We've got Mossy Meadow, and then for this particular scene, the Pooh Bear being stuck in the wall and then his friends pulling him out, that seemed like a always here for you type of scene. Now, here Pooh Bear is, let's see here, he's got a present or a package, and his friends are huddled around him. So I feel like that's not an always here for you. So I did pull in my lovely arrangements, but I'm not sure that I'm going to use the always here for you. I might use the hello friend or thank you or happy birthday. That could be like a birthday gift. And of course there's a myriad of other options from other stamp sets, but I do not believe for this particular one I'm going to use the always here for you. Sending smiles. Okay, that doesn't necessarily fit. It's a little long. I mean, it does fit. It just fits. I think I'm going to do hello friend. Then it could be anything. Sarah, I'm glad you said that. So, yes, I had said that I just explained, you know, going ahead, and I would say, especially in an instance where you don't have enough paper, you very well could adjust this design to have just a strip on the side. Almost everyone has a 1-inch strip of DSP that they can put on the side, whereas a full mat, that's a much larger piece. So, oh gosh, I got something stuck there. I agree. I think it looks amazing having it peeking out the side, but I can see how and why you would adjust that. Okay, so Mossy Meadow with Hello Friend. This Mossy Meadow pad that we have in the upstairs filming station is not our strongest pad. So it gives us kind of like a gradient look. I think it's straight. Okay, get that cleaned up. And then we'll move that off to the side. I did not put a sentiment on the front, and that is pretty rare. You normally will always have a sentiment or always have something on the outside, but I just was so happy with how it looked. I didn't want to introduce an additional thing to the outside. If that really bothers you, feel free to adjust the design accordingly. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble from the inside out. So we'll just go ahead and get that put together. Then we will, oh, there's another little Pooh butt. They're just so cute, okay? All right, now, before I glue this in, basically my intention here is to have it centered. Not centered left to right, top to bottom, but centered with an equal distance on the top, bottom, and left-hand side. Then, when you close it, you should not have anything peeking out, okay? So, it's very important not to push it too far to the right so that you don't see it hanging out. And I think by putting it evenly on all 3 of those sides, you will accomplish that. This is where I especially love using liquid glue because I can put it relatively where I want it and then hover it to where its final destination is going to be. Okay, so I've got all of the inside taken care of. Now it's going to just be a matter of gluing together the pieces on the outside. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in my sanding block. Oh. And we're going to rough up the top layer of this piece. So again, we're utilizing the dark side of the two-tone, and we're just going to scuff up the top. Now, there are, say, little footpaths along here. You will not be able to do anything with those without excessively scratching the background. So if you've never sanded two-tone before, you want to maybe start soft and go back in once you have a handle on it. So I see little Kanga over in the corner. I'm just going to rough her up, and then a little spot of Rue. And then start to expose the trees. Rabbit over there. I personally, I've only done sanding a couple of times. I love it. I don't find much success in rubbing over the whole thing. I find more success in targeting the spots that I want to expose and being more direct in that area and then moving down. Thank you so much for joining, Debbie. I appreciate it. So I'm going to grab my sanding block and expose these trees and then the stumps. And rub that away. Also, stuff comes off, and sometimes that gets caught up in the grit of the sandpaper, so you might want to go back and clean it out if you're finding that you're not getting good sanding. And I'm not going to worry too much about this tree because you really don't see it. That being said, that would be a really good place to practice if you need to practice. I'm just going to come in and do a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to call that good enough. When I sand, I do like to clean my workspace because all of those little sanded particles have to go somewhere. Okay, dokie. Nothing special about that. I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down right away too. Okay. Very good. Next, I'm going to add the ribbon on the bottom of the label. I'm going to add a strip of tear and tape on the bottom here, and then we're going to do a loop, loop, tail. there's a more gold side and a more green side. I'm going to start with the more green side facing up. I'm going to start right at the corner and then make my first loop. Be a little bigger than that. Make my second loop and draw it down with a tail. I'm going to actually redo that because I want it to be a little bigger, a little more spaced out. Then when you're done, flip it over, finish the tear and tape sandwich. Okay, and trim your ribbon.
How much you got yet? Because I forgot to bring it.
I am only on card 2, so I got a little bit of time yet.
Okay.
Probably an hour.
Okay.
Okay, so there's that. Then we put dimensionals behind this whole layer.
Do you need air or you're good?
I'm okay.
Okay.
You barely see it, but a little bit of the edge does hang off. So when you're doing dimensionals, just make sure that you're not covering the far edge. Okay, so I'm gonna hold my finger there, get some dimensionals down, and then keep going. I put this scene on pretty well centered top to bottom. Then we go back and add the rest of the things. I used a dark green, so a mossy and an olive leaf on the side, and then alternated dark, light, dark, light. You can play around between the big and the small leaves to figure out what looks best where. So for instance, I had done a small leaf on the bottom and a big leaf on the top of the olive, but over here I'm going to alternate that because it just fit better, okay? So for the leaves, I put liquid glue on the base and a dimensional on the back. So that helped make them look like they were floating in the breeze. I appear to not have any mini dimensionals, which is okay. I can just use some of these pieces. So just going to put dimensional at the top, liquid glue at the bottom. And then my goal here is to try to cover up the seam per se. I do not want to hold anything down or like push anything down too tightly because there might need to be some movement of some of these pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and place them down relatively. Now when I get to the top here, I'm actually going to go all the way to the top. Hello, Margene. Don't worry about it. Of course, the replay is always available. We are finishing up on card number 2, so you're not even halfway through. So this is an instance where I'm going to move that guy out a little bit. To make a little bit more room. For this one. All right. Then over on the side here, I want to put 2 leaves with 2 acorns nesting on them. So let's see how that works. Going to hoist up the mossy leaf right on the DSP scene. Then the olive leaf is going to nest next to it. Okay, then we're going to place down the large nut. Yay, Mary likes this card. I love this card. The large nut and then the small nut right next to it. Whoa. Then in terms of embellishments here, you've got options aplenty. I utilized the Peaceful Pine embellishments. Now, I understand that these colors are not Peaceful Pine. You can notice a little bit that it is not the exact right green, but it didn't bother me. Okay, so you've got 1 down here and 2 up there. We're already using 2 different greens, so I didn't think it made a difference. However, you have all of the colors at your disposal, and depending on the scene, you might want to utilize, you know, the Barely Blush for Piglet, or whatever you would like to do. It's completely up to you. You could bring in the Golden Glow for Pooh Bear. You could bring in the Peaceful Pine for the green, whatever fits your fancy. I'm going to stick with the Peaceful Pine. So a large one down at the bottom, and then a large and a small over here. This, oh man, I love all of the cards from this class, but I think this one might be my favorite. It's so good. It's so, so good. So there we have that one. Next up, we have our hydrangea hue card. So, your kit from me includes a 5.5 by 4.25 hydrangea hue card base, a something size flap that becomes the card front. It's got the score line on it. You also have a 1.5-inch strip of olive for the grass, an inside mat, and then a label, 2 leaves, and a nut. Gonna glue that nut together before we lose any of the pieces. Just wait till you see the sampler if you haven't seen it yet. My poor mother has been doing so much die cutting of all these little pieces, but they're so good. I don't remember how many nuts and leaves and all that stuff, but we used some of the die pieces that we hadn't used yet, including a honey pot and the honey, and then a stump and the stump top. So some of these pieces are super tiny, like not tiny, but they look so cute. Okay, now when you are making this kit, you also need to bring in some DSP, and the DSP that you're using for this piece include a 3-inch by 4-inch piece for your card front. So for the sample card, I utilized the door scene, which is Pooh Bear's front door. I don't know if it's Pooh or Piglet's front door. I think it's Pooh Bear's front door. But only half of the participants are going to receive that scene. So I'm using this scene to show the other participants what their card could look like. You're also going to need a piece of 5.25 by 3 of the sky. And do you remember when I said I struggle to use this paper? So I went ahead and figured out where that was going to lay and what was going to get covered up and what I could cut out of it, which ironically was this extremely rare piece that we needed for the first card that we did. On this particular card, and you'll never see this because I can't even open it if I wanted to, but there was an owl in there. So you may or may not be able to get the character out. I would say it's not worth forcing it if you cannot tell on first glance whether it's going to be in the safe zone or not. I wouldn't risk it, but if you can get something out, that is great. We're stamping "To a Forever Kind of Friend" on the label. That comes from Lily of the Valley, and then on the inside, "Old Friends Are the Best Friends." That comes from Sweet Words and Labels. So before we get too far, I'm going to do the stamping and get that out of the way. Bless her heart. Thank you, Mom, from Margene. Amen. My mother is sitting at home right now die cutting and watching my children. So she's doing everything. She's doing all of my jobs right now. My mom introduced me to stamping when I was probably in middle school. Chris was having, oh gosh, that is crooked. I always think it's crooked, and then I lift it up, and a lot of times it's not actually crooked, but that one, that was definitely crooked. Chris was having stamping parties at her house. She was not a demonstrator yet, but she was having, you know, where the demonstrator came in, gave a demonstration, we made some cards, we ordered some stuff like that. like I said, probably since I was in middle school. And I don't have a good memory at all. So I don't have a lot of memories from when I was growing up, but I distinctly remember one of my birthday parties when I was a kid was at the Scrapbook Cottage, where we made cards for my birthday party. I had my friends come and we went to the Scrapbook Cottage. We made stuff and it was so much fun. So this has been a part of my life for a long time. And it's cool that at this point in time, it is a different part of my life. It is not only what I do for fun, but what I do for livelihood in some manner. So that's pretty cool. And I am blessed to have my mom be able to help me. Blessed, and it is an absolute necessity. But it's something that we can do together, except for we don't actually do it together, but she does come over. We kit together, which is nice. To a forever kind of friend. I love the fonts that we have going on. I've used this stamp and the happy birthday stamp in this set so many times. And it fits so perfectly on that label. So I love it. Okay, I have to quick go grab something. I will be right back. I feel like no matter how many times no matter how hard you try, there's always something that gets forgotten. I love this label. I've used it many times in these classes, but I love not only the shape of it, but the cutesy little hearts on the top and bottom. Oh, so good. Okay, so we're pretty close to be able to run with this now. Oh, I think I forgot to mention as well. So you're bringing in the sky background, you're bringing in the scene, and then we also need two characters. So we've got Sitting Pooh, and I chose this piglet. This piglet is, so Sitting Pooh is from the sky. This piglet can be found on the pink plaid paper. She's a little smaller. The Pooh Bear that is on the, the piglet that is on the sky paper is blowing a dandelion puff, and she's big. Piglet is a he, and he's bigger. So I liked how these two went together. He's looking the right way as well, so I just thought this was a good one. This one would have to get fussy cut though. Margine, I agree. Okay, so I don't have the labels up here, but the Sweet Words and Labels dies. So that is the bundle with all of these amazing sentiments. And then, of course, it cuts out this one and that one. Is so good. I didn't know how much I would use it outside of the Pooh Bear suite, but it is so useful. All of these, like, okay, spoiler alert, here's the next card. all of the nested pieces and all of the intricate cuts and designs as parts of the labels, I'm absolutely blown away. I love them. I think they are great dies that will probably be used for a long time to come. Okay, so you'll bring those two pieces in as well. Then this strip that I included is to be torn like grass. I love tearing. It's such a throwback technique, but it's so good. All right, so expecting an important phone call, but still watching. Nancy Mole has big news to share. Cannot wait, my dear. Okay, we are going to bring in this piece, fold it on the score line. Okay, I'm going to put some adhesive on the flap and then center it and fold it down. While it's drying, I'm going to measure. Approximately 1 1/8 on each end would get you centered. However, I'm a big fan of visually centering things. I don't measure often. Okay, I'm gonna leave that for now. Now I'm going to fill the inside. I'm gonna start by gluing down the sky. The sky is, and I'm actually going to put it this way. My pieces have traveled a lot, so they're getting worn on the edges, so I just flipped it so that the worn edge would go down. Okay, then we are going to glue down the grass. Then we can glue the inside. Okay. Make sure I glue the right side. So this piece as well, you could be more judicious to just have an inch strip on each side. I was being very small details when I designed these cards, to have a little bit of green poking out the bottom and a little bit of sky poking out the top. But then, of course, you have this whole bit of wasted area. So if you wanted, you could even just minorly redesign by shoving this up a little bit where it would be flush with the clouds, and then it'd have more green on the bottom. But completely up to you. The DSP is yours. You get all of it to do whatever you please. But if you want to be more conservative with your paper, you could do that. Okay, now we're going to close it and glue on your scene. Now, this scene is obviously not the same as the original design, but I think this is a very nice looking scene as well. So, okay, I'm going to start by putting down the label so that I can see where and how I'm going to place the characters. So to do that, I'm going to put the tear and tape off the side. And then I've got a loop tail. So my ribbon is over here. Yep, agreed, Nancy. If you don't want to worry about losing the sky or cutting a character out, you could absolutely just put 1-inch strips of the sky. For sure. So, loop, tail, tear and tape sandwich. Uh-oh, she's getting mad at me. You go back down there. Okay, loop tail. Then we're going to put dimensionals behind that. Okay. Ooh. So we should be able to get by with the exact same layout here. Then we're going to take a leaf. Oops, that's the wrong side. And this leaf, I'm going to have flying downward. And I'm going to use a dimensional behind it. Come on. And then we're going to put a nut. Oh, let's see, is that one good? I want the nut to be on dimensionals, but I want a very delicate balance of things over here. Woo, look at that pretty thing. Good gracious.
Okay.
Thank you.
You betcha.
Okay. So that's how that one's gonna work out. Now that we have all of that together, I think I'm gonna put Pooh Bear here. and Piglet over there. And actually, on the sample card I had Pooh Bear hanging off the side a little bit, but that's more driven by the scene, I think. I think he makes more sense here, in which case this whole thing could be up a little bit, but I don't think I'm gonna get that to move. So I'm actually probably just gonna have him hang out down a little bit. I know his foot's gonna hang off just a little bit, but it is what it is. I also then will pop his head up. It is so cute. Look at that cutie. I love it. All right, so that is card number 3. Oh no, it's not. I always do this. I run away too quickly. We need some embellishments. So for this one, I feel like I'm gonna put big and little off the edge here, going with the hydrangea hue color scheme. Keeps flipping over. Actually, I think I'm gonna reverse them. Got a little dip in the grass, so I can move that over there-ish. And then I had one on the scene, but I don't know that I want it up there. I think I'll put one just over here somewhere. You have as many embellishments as you would like, so you can fill that bad boy up if you want. I'm gonna transplant some embellishments. I don't know why. It just felt like I needed to do that in that exact moment. So there you have it. That's card number 3. And last but not least, we will do our Fun Fold-esque card. Which is right here. Okay, what do we have? So, in the kit from me, you will receive an espresso card base. I don't know if it's a card base when it's just a piece of paper, but it is what will become your card base. Then you'll have a double matted inside piece, and you'll have a triple matted layer. So look at this beautiful conglomeration of die cut pieces. Man, it is good. You will also need a fussy cut picnic scene, or whatever scene you prefer. I chose the picnic scene. And then this piece. So, when you receive this piece, with an exception of the first few, Mom was just making sure that she was scoring at the right spot. So there may be 1 or 2 or 3 of you that receive a piece that is cut down. And it might not even be cut to the right size. Not in a bad way. I had written on the recipe card that this is 5.5 inches tall. It's 5.25 inches tall. So you will either get a piece that is 6 inches tall or 5.5 or 5.25, but I don't think anyone received 5.25. Maybe I did cut it down. I don't know. It was so long ago. So anyways, your piece is going to be folded like this, I think. You will want to trim this down to 5.25. So you can bring your straight cutter in and you can align it at 5.25. You can either do it unfolded, because obviously it fits, or you can keep it folded. It doesn't matter. Just know that if it's folded, it might not be folded perfectly. So you maybe do want to just open it up, get it at 5.25, trim it down. Okay? So that's thing number 1. Now we are going to fold it on the score lines appropriately. So have it in front of you, lay it out flat. The first fold is on the far right. You're just going to fold that back. Okay? Then we're going to take the 7-inch fold and fold that back. Then you're going to take the 4-inch fold, fold it back, and the 1-inch fold and fold it back. So this piece is pre-scored, but if you are making more of these, you've got 1-inch, 4-inch, 7 inches, and 11 inches. Okay, and we'll go through that one more time. I like to work backwards from right to left. For this particular fold, you can do whatever suits you. So I'm going to fold at the 11-inch, then I'm going to fold at the 7-inch, then I'm going to fold at the 4-inch, and then I'm going to fold at the 1-inch. Okay? I'm going to show you something. It's incomplete, so don't get too excited. We cased this card for ink, paper, scissors before we remembered that all the paper was already cut and you couldn't, it was physically impossible because you would receive 2 6x6 pieces and that just is not how this works. So we were going to do the same thing where this was going to get matted on here. And then we were going to have a little different. We were going to have 2 mats on the inside and obviously some lilies or something on the outside. But this has now fallen to the to design later pile because we couldn't make it. So we just pushed it off to the side and kept working. But I was like, oh, we should still bring that to life because it's super cool. Okay. Once it is folded, now you can adhere it to your card base. So I thought this fold was really cool. I cased it. I actually cased all of these cards from various Stampin' Up! Demonstrators around the country. I don't remember who any of them are, but they are all wonderful, fantastic people. Used their inspiration to bring these cards to life. And I thought this was an incredible use of DSP. Obviously, all of these can be fussy cut, and there's no reason not to do that, but I struggle with paper like this sometimes because it's so pretty, it's so cool, but once you start cutting it or using the backside, it becomes this hodgepodge of scrap paper. So I thought to be able to showcase this whole piece was amazing. Another really cool thing about this card and this layout is I know the intention was that this would get glued down, but I like it staying as a flap that you can continue to open and see what's under there. But when you fold this paper, it actually lines up perfectly at these cut lines. Like, look at Tigger is exactly lined up with Tigger. So that's another reason why it's cool not to fold that or not to glue that down, because then you can see that the pattern is continuing, which is just super neat. Okay. So that is that. I'm going to, again, pivot to stamping at this point. We have the best kind of days are the days spent together. That is why I picked the picnic scene, because I thought that was cool that they were spending time together, BFFs. This is another stamp. I have one of these labels with this stamped on it at home, severely crooked. We'll see if we did better this time. That'll do. Okay, then on the inside we have old friends are the best friends and a honey pot. Oh, that did not get clean enough. So all sorts of odd size insides and mats on these cards, but that's what makes these cards unique and special. So cute. Okay. Some assembly required. All right. Now, you can put this inside piece either on this panel or on this panel. It fits perfectly on either, so it's completely up to you. I went with this one on the sample card. Reversely, just like the Lily one that I had showed you, you could create a second inside if you wanted. I tend to be I tend to not need or want to put that much writing on the inside of cards, so I just went with one. Okay. Then we are going to layer these on. we'll bring in some dimensionals and some ribbon. So I'm going to do ribbon off of this corner. We have a loop loop tail, a tiny loop loop tail. Kind of a loop loop tail on a corner. All right, I started just next to the cutout. And I did a loop, and a loop, and a tail. Now, I'm going to finish the tear and tape sandwich, but I'm not yet going to commit to how I'm cutting this off because I'm putting the picnic scene over the top of it, so I don't want it to get too short. So I'll cut it with a little extra. The picnic scene I actually glued down flat. And I nested him just right about in here where Pooh Bear is, oops, I got a little glue on there. Okay, and then I have just a little bit of this label peeking out, and I remember that from the sample card. I'm going to go in there and trim that out. Super minor detail. You do not have to do that, but I wanted to. All right. Then I can bring my ribbon scissor in and trim that. This layer now goes on dimensionals. All right. And get centered on the big label. I wish I could tell you how many times we die cut this label out, because it's been a lot. Between the Stamp-A-Stack that had this label on so many things, so many things, and now this class had only one of them, and then the sampler has two of them. Woohoo! You just finished your Spring Palooza. Nice work. Okay. Now we need to adhere this on there. It takes a little bit of patience. And you can put this wherever you want it. This is relatively centered, but on my cut, I've got Tigger poking out on the bottom, so I'm going to raise it north of center so I can see a little bit more of Tigger. I don't necessarily want or need, because when we open it up, we get to see all the characters, but I did want, if there was a character that could be present, I wanted him to peek out. So, that being said, we still need to adhere. The only adhesion point, there is one adhesion point, is the far left edge of the label. So you gotta be very cautious with your adhesive. I am using tear and tape because I do not need any goobers poking out. And I'm going just past the loop. And I'm going to fill in as much of that area as possible because this adhesive has a big job to do. Okay, I'm going to peel the backing off and pray that I didn't go too far, which I feel like I might have. Okay. I'm going to ever so lightly lay this down. Try to lay it back, except for I need to put it down a little less lightly than that. Okay, so I have a little bit too much peeking out on the top. I did not do that straight. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. I can see that it's at a little bit of an angle, and that angle is what docked me. Hello, Shariat. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, you don't need to put it quite so close to the edge. Obviously, that's where I'm running into the issue. And if you don't put it quite so close to the edge, then you won't have quite as much of a challenge in getting that down. My goodness. I noticed, I think I only did one run of tear and tape on my sample card, which would have been way smarter. I'm just going to try to tuck that under. Oh no. Okay. Got the tear and tape stuck to my elbow. But either way, once you have it down, now your card is complete. All right, we need some embellishments. Got a big and a little. And a little. And a card that looks crooked. Good golly. It's hard to design in front of you. So here are our 4 cards. From our Honey Pots and Happy Thoughts class. What do you think? I appreciate your support, and while you're staring at them, I'm going to do roll call because I did forget. Did kind of forget. All right, so we have, oh no, where's that? Okay. Faya Vera, Kelly Gibson, Karen Woods, Susan Bellamy, Sandy Coy-Emery, Julie Bontranger, Judy Dean, Donna Gruchke, Elaine Peranio, Jean Terwilliger, Doris Monson, Julie Damaris, Mary Hodge, Kimberly Snow, Connie Moore, Chris Duderenke, Audrina Spar, Linda Hunt, Faye Godby, Pam Newhauser, Carrie White, Mary Jo Stoll, Angelique Schaefer, Patty Wright, Frances Rodriguez, Beverly Smith, Kimberly Longway, Gail Zerwa, Zucker, Mimi Howenstein, Sherry Everett, Jean Shute, Lisa Mulis, Mary Lemke and Mary Carls, Linda Rios, Beth Meyer, Patricia Fagley, Debbie Stone, Stacy Tan, Rosie Talent, Nancy Mole, Hope Toy, Cindy Hutching, Bridget Rowe, Donna Jarman. Okay, one second. Where does my list end? Donna Jarman, Pauline Driscoll, Julie Frost, Leslie McMinn, Kelly Gordon, Kathy Crumpton, Margene Eskelson, Margie Yasui, Kathleen Ketterman, Vera Anderson, Cheryl Thomas, Shannon Roberts, Judy Immel, Jill Butzine, Debbie Schultz, Sarah Stoak, Mary Novak, Christina Heisey, Rita Steffi, Donna Palazzola, Berta Blandon, Shirley Natali, and Feline Mays. Ooh, Mary Lemke is going to try number 4 while she's waiting for her kit. Let me know how that goes. Are you going to case it using the Silly Old Bear suite, or are you going to try a different suite? I'd love to see it either way. So, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Now, I know most of you probably has seen this. It's been done for about a week, but I wanted to bring in, drum roll please, the sampler. There's just so much joy here. I wanted to challenge myself to try to do things a little differently. I didn't want it to look too much like all of the other things that I've made. Now, I know that that is not necessarily going to be possible, but I hope you see the differences. I brought back the antique pearls, and I'm using baker's twine, or linen thread, whatever we like to call it. And I tried to bring in some other characters and other scenes. So the picnic basket, the balloon. I used that on the inside of a card, but I didn't use it on the outside of a card before. And I feel like it kind of tells a story. Pooh's run out of honey. And poor Piglet is watching him struggle to get his last little honey pot. So he goes out on an adventure searching for some honey. If you've seen Pooh, he flies up in a balloon to try to get honey out of a honey tree. And that's what's going on here. And then he brings all of his fruitful findings back to his house. Then he has a picnic with Piglet and all of his friends. So as it was coming together, I'm like, man, this is actually kind of telling a story, which I thought was super fun and cool. But look at all these really fun elements. So we haven't yet used the honey pot with the honey oozing out or the stump. So I thought that was super cool. We've got a couple acorns and brought in some more of the leaves. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is our sampler frame. It is an 11 by 14 sampler, and the kit includes a half pack of DSP, as well as a roll of linen thread and a pack of antique pearls. And you also will receive the pieces of cardstock, all of the die cuts and label pieces, and then also you will receive 2 12 by 12 pieces of basic beige two-tone cardstock that gets used for the background. So love it. I'm so excited about how it turned out. I think it's wonderful. I hope you guys enjoy it too. It is a part of the July registration form. So if you haven't registered for any of the July classes with Cards by Christine, go ahead. You can find it there. Otherwise, you can go back and edit your registration if you already registered and want to add it, because you want it, right? Like, isn't this so cute? It's so stinking cute. I love it. So, we did it. I shrunk, apparently, during the class. I shrunk. Thank you so much for joining me for the Happy Honey Pots and Happy Thoughts class. I hope you enjoyed making these cards. I cannot wait to see the beautiful creations that you made, but also if you use any of these recipes to make anything else, like Mary Lemke said, she's going to case card number 4 with a different sweet. Share it. I love to see how I inspire you, or how we inspire you to create your beautiful creations. So in the meantime, sending lots of sunshine, love, big hugs, rainbows, and bright skies your way.